one. I'm going to present screen, and we'll listen to this for a minute. It's actually, in a way, a direct response to a video you and I did together, Dr. Bergman. And so this is Gutsick Gibbon. She is in the chat. She has a popular YouTube channel where she challenges young Earth creation and those who would reject evolution. So she has a video here titled "Neanderthals Make Young Earth Creationism Impossible." And so in many ways, I do appreciate our skeptics and critics that are willing to engage with us and to interact with the topic of origins in general, because it is an important topic, Jerry. So I just want to play this for a minute or so and then get your thoughts on what she's saying here. So we'll start it right now.
The differences in these two crania, right, in the two skulls, in the way that I teach my students, in the way that I think is most memorable. Neanderthals have a prominent brow ridge, a large nasal aperture, tapered orbits, swept back zygomatics, and the presence of an occipital bun in combination with a very unique cranial vault shape that is platycephalic, like low and long, and a non-vaulted forehead. So you can combine all of those things together and say those are Neanderthal autapomorphies. I often see creationists will point to living people, like with a big brow ridge or something like that, and they'll say, see, that looks like a Neanderthal. That guy looks like he could be a Neanderthal. Therefore, the morphology that defines Neanderthals is not sufficient. They're not a sufficient suite to distinguish them.
I mean, we could point to, and you have pointed to in previous presentations here, to actors, boxers. There's one specific Russian boxer, Nikolai, I think his name is, where they have that distinct Neanderthal trait in the brow ridge. So modern day people have Neanderthal traits.
But I'm really sorry. A brow ridge is one characteristic of dozens of autapomorphies, and I'm only listing a few here. There is not a human alive that has more than 5, I would say. It's a ballpark swing, and I bet most of them are minute. There's not a human alive that has the combination that I just mentioned going over this now. And if I'm wrong on that, all you got to do is show me the skull. So let's move on to the next.
Okay, so let's stop it there. To summarize or reiterate her points, Dr. Bergman, basically she's arguing it's not 1, 2, or even 5 of these specific traits she's pointing to: occipital bun, the brow ridges. We've discussed those unique features of Neanderthals. It's the fact that there's dozens, and we don't find any extant humans today with that suite of traits that you find in Neanderthals or other robust humans. And so Neanderthals couldn't have descended from Adam and Eve. They must be a sister species. They're too morphologically different for us young Earth creationists to explain. And so I was wondering your thoughts on that, because you did just put out an article that I thought was excellent on Neanderthals. You titled it "Neanderthals Are Us," August 21st, 2024. We can talk about that in a second, a little bit. Jerry, I'd be wondering what a good response is to what she's saying.
Well, the fact is we can interbreed with Neanderthals, and therefore, as we have done so, probably we had several different groups we interbred with, and that may be why there's so much variety we find in human beings today. Many of us, including me, I had my DNA done by 23andMe, and they found I was 5% Neanderthal. And so many people from my area where I was from, Eastern Europe, have Neanderthal traits. And so if you had 10,000 Neanderthals, not the skull that she had, which was obviously broken in many pieces and they had to put it together, if you had a dozen or 1,000 Neanderthals, then you could get some average traits. But my guess is you would find there's a variety of traits among that 1,000 as there is among humans. And so why she says that all Neanderthals, I don't think she's even saying this, but she's implying all Neanderthals have all of these, 16 traits she stated or more. So to me, that's presumptuous that you can say that, because we don't know that. Unless, now I know we have a lot of Neanderthal bones and we managed to assemble them. But that's and the assembly takes a lot of skill, and also we have very few total. In fact, I don't think we have a single total Neanderthal skeleton, not one. We have made one out of many other different skeletons. And so we produced one, but it has probably 30 different sources for the bones they used to produce this one.
I think it is profound that we do have their genetics. We have Neanderthal genes and DNA. And so that would tell us that we interbred with them, reproduced with them, we reproduced with them. We had kids, progeny. And so I've heard many paleoanthropologists in the conventional sense, non-young earth creationists, say Neanderthals are us, just adapted to a cold eco-glacial environment. That's what they've said, not non-creationists. And so with Erika's video, I made a couple notes, and I also discussed or consulted Dr. Peter Line as well, who has a lot of knowledge on this, and you've written a book with. And so what I noted is that she, in her video, makes plenty of assumptions. So if people watch the whole video, you'll find some presumptions there that the cranial morphology of Adam and Eve looked like average modern humans of today. And so I would argue, Dr. Jerry, that the reality is we simply don't know what Adam and Eve look like, nor do we know what Noah and his family look like. And so if the Bible's account of ancient people is true, that's our starting point, and they lived for hundreds of years, then there had to have been something different about them. We know they lived in different environments, and we know that environment, due to epigenetics for many reasons, has profound effects on morphology. So I think, and I wonder if you would agree, it's kind of making an assumption that extant humans today morphologically looked exactly like pre-flood or even immediate post-flood humans.
A lot of assumptions there, and I agree with you. She's making an awful lot of assumptions, and she has a pair of thick evolution glasses, and she just can't see the world the way it is. She doesn't want to see the world the way it is. I'm not sure why she's so anxious to prove evolution, but she is. Take care of my cough here.
No worries. Take your time, Jerry. I appreciate you doing this. Yeah, because if Noah and his family were morphologically heterogeneous, let's say, or just diverse, a lot more diverse, then the features that we see that she points to, these specific traits, even the dozens of them that we see in robust humans, okay, those plus the traits that make modern extant humans unique can be explained. I mean, we have this dispersal event at Babel. We would see different groups of people basically taking subsets of that pre-existing variation, both genetic and morphological. They would take those into different parts of the globe where they would then become isolated and become a little more prominent. And so I think those features can certainly be explained. And so, Jerry, on that note, I want to show your article here. Neanderthals are us. So this is up to date, and you point out research shows that one formerly leading missing link is now a recent member of the human family, and this is based on a relatively new secular paper, from my understanding. And so, Jerry, can you give us the importance of your findings here and what you wrote about Neanderthals?
Well, Neanderthals was one of the chief proofs of evolution for probably a century or more. And this was in all the textbooks. It was taught in the schools for generations. And now we know that these claims are totally wrong. We're talking about simply another people group, which in every way is human, some facial differences, some probably other differences. But on the other hand, we're talking about a huge mistake they made. A racist mistake, which we recognize now, that was made by the evolutionists. One of my main interests is that so many of the ideas that evolutionists propounded in the past century are wrong, totally wrong. Not only wrong, but embarrassingly wrong. And this is just one of many examples where they're just as well recognized, they're just us.
Right. And I put out a video, and I took an excerpt from a lecture. I think it was in 2022 now. and it was a respected paleo anthropologist, and he concluded Neanderthals are not a different species. Neanderthals are us, just adapted to a cold eco-glacial system. So it sounds like there's ongoing debate and controversy within the conventional paleoanthropological community, where we as creationists, we can say, yeah, we don't have a problem with that. We have their genes. We interbred with them. They're certainly human, but morphologically distinct for many reasons. And so I appreciate your article here, Jerry.